Happy Valentine's Day. I think we're going to be in again this year for Valentine's Day, so it's the perfect opportunity to make something special for the people or the person that we love. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the crab cakes. This is a recipe that my dear friend Jackie gave me, and it is the best crab cake recipe I have ever had. So I'm going to start with basically the binder. We're going to take 1 egg. I'm just going to mix that up a little bit. Then we need 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. I love Duke's mayonnaise. Then we're going to do a tablespoon of fresh parsley, and I just bought this little parsley plant. It's sure easy to just take off a few leaves and chop up the parsley. Throw that in there. So then we need 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard, 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce, 1 teaspoon of Old Bay. Then we want a teaspoon of lemon juice, so 1/8 teaspoon of salt. So we're going to mix that all up. And then on top of that, I'm going to put 1 pound of jumbo lump crab. And then the final thing that we're going to put in there are some saltine crackers. So I have 14 saltine crackers. I'm just going to put them in a bag because I'm going to mash them up. And I'm going to pour these saltine crackers right on top of the crab. I'm very gently going to use a big spatula and just fold this together because I don't want to break up that crab. Okay, so once that's mixed together, I'm going to put that into the refrigerator for 1/2 hour. I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 450 degrees for those crab cakes. It takes a minute for it to warm up. Charcuterie boards are so popular right now, so I thought it would be fun to show you how I would put together a Valentine's Day charcuterie board. So the first thing that you want to do when you're doing a charcuterie board is you want to place your largest pieces first. I've got 3 kinds of cheese. I have a brie, a port wine cheddar, and I have some Asiago. Then I'm going to take a couple of small dishes that I have, and I'm going to put these into the corners, and I just put some little gummy hearts in them. Next, I'm going to do something kind of fun with my cheese. I have a heart-shaped cookie cutter, and I'm going to try to cut out the center of it. So now I have my brie with a heart, and I have another heart. So I'm just going to push that right on through the cookie cutter. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some fresh raspberries and I'm going to fill that hole in my brie. Okay, so the next element I'm going to add to my board are some meats. And a little earlier, I took some salami and some prosciutto and I made them into rosettes. And I'll show you how I did that in a minute. Stick them in here. So I've got a piece of prosciutto and I'm wrapping the prosciutto around my index finger and then around the outside. And then when you slide your finger out, you just kind of pinch it together at the bottom and you've got something that looks like a rose petal. I always like to have on a charcuterie board a little bit of jam or something like that to put on the brie. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some grapes. And the grapes are great for hiding things like the jam that I spilled or And then I've got all sorts of different fruits. I've got some strawberries. I've got some blackberries. Blackberries are nice to kind of do an edge. And then the last things that I've got some blueberries and I have some pistachio nuts. So there you have it, a Valentine's Day charcuterie board. I think we're going to be eating on this for a little while, so I don't want my dinner to be too heavy. So an appetizer course would not be complete for me without a cocktail. And since it's Valentine's Day, I wanted to do something sort of in the theme. And one of my favorite drinks is a Kir Royale. A Kir Royale is a cocktail that has creme de cassis and champagne, any sort of bubbly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop a couple of raspberries into my champagne flutes. And then I'm going to put about an ounce of creme de cassis in each one, basically up to the bottom of my raspberries. And then I'm going to top that off with some bubbly. Cheers. That's my version of the Kir Royale. So my crab cakes have been sitting for half an hour. They've set up a little bit. And before I start to form them into the balls, I'm going to take a couple tablespoons of butter and melt that. So while we're waiting for that to melt, I've got a ½ cup ice cream scoop. This should make about 6 crab cakes. So I think that the trick is you want to kind of push it against the side of the bowl so that the crab is compacted into the scoop a little bit more. Once they're on the tray, you may need to kind of adjust them a little bit. So my butter's melted, and I'm just going to drizzle a little bit on top of my crab cakes. Then I'm going to pop them in the oven for 12 to 14 minutes. I want them to be cooked through and just a little brown on the top. So for the salad, I'm making a spinach salad with strawberries, candied pecans, honey goat cheese, and a homemade dressing. So I'm going to start with the dressing. 3 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. Then I'm going to add a ½ cup of olive oil, a teaspoon of white vinegar, and 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. You can just put the cap on it and shake it up. So we've got our dressing made. Now I want to dress up my spinach salad a little bit. I've got some strawberries. These are praline pecans, so I'm going to chop these up. These are still pretty big chunks, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and put them into my salad. Next, I'm going to take my strawberries and I'm just going to core them and slice them. So I'll add our strawberries. And then the last thing that we're going to do is put some honey goat cheese on top. Cut it into a couple of rounds and crumble them right onto the salad. So I'm going to wait until right before I serve it to dress the salad. I don't want it to get wilted. So our crab cakes are ready. Let's see how they look. Oh, they look wonderful. So for dessert, I thought it would be fun and a little different to do a really decadent milkshake. So I'm going to start with a cup and a half of whole milk. Put that right in the blender. And to that, I'm going to add 2 cups of frozen strawberries, 6 ounces of fresh raspberries, which is one of these little containers, a container of regular whole-fat Greek plain yogurt. We're going to add a couple of scoops of vanilla ice cream, ½ cup of good strawberry preserves, and then to make it extra special, we're going to do a splash of Chambord. This blender is so full, I'm going to start it out at a low speed and then we'll go faster. So this is a really rich and decadent dessert, but fun, a little different. And we'll just top those off with a couple of raspberries. So from my family to yours, I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. If you try any of these recipes, please let me know how they turned out, how you liked them. I guarantee they're all delicious. Happy Valentine's Day. Take care.